Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Joydeep Ghosh. I am a medical oncologist at Tata Medical Center, Kolkata. I shall be presenting three abstracts in ER-positive breast cancer. So the first one is by Dr. Masakazu Toi, which is about the characterization of venous thromboembolic events, elevated aminotransferases, and interstitial lung disease in the Monarch E trial. So we all know that the Monarch E was a phase 3 trial where abemaciclib was used in combination with endocrine therapy as an adjuvant treatment for hormone receptor positive, HER2 negative, high risk early breast cancer. And the preliminary data showed that there is some DFS benefit in the long term. Now, the primary objectives of this presentation is the three most important adverse events of abemaciclib. One is thromboembolism, liver enzymes elevation, and interstitial lung disease. So this is the trial oversight data. So in the median follow-up in both the arms was 19 months. So the adverse events which were clinically important were searched by medical dictionary terms falling under the category of VTE, hepatic events, and interstitial lung disease. Baseline risk factors for thromboembolism was evaluated for the safety population, including the Khorana's risk score. And it was seen that the elevation of liver enzymes and ILD were more frequently reported in Asian population compared to the safety population. Regarding the management guidelines, the abemaciclib dose modification guidelines were clearly laid out in the product insert. For VTE, it included holding abemaciclib for 1 or 2 weeks and starting anticoagulation therapy. And for elevated enzymes, if it is grade 3 or more, there was dose reduction required till it reached dose 1, and for grade 4 till it reached the acceptable range. But for grade 4, there was discontinuation advised. And for interstitial lung disease, if it is grade 2 or more, it required dose modification. So most of the VTs were grade 3. 1.3%, including 0.9% pulmonary thromboembolism. And fortunately, there were no fatal cases of thromboembolism. And patients who received tamoxifen, it was associated with a numerically higher incidence of VT compared to AI, which is quite obvious because of the additive effect of endocrine. Now, if you look at the right side, so patients who had combined DVT, PE, so their percentages grade 3 or more were slightly higher. So you can see DVT 0.4% versus 0.1%, PE 1% versus 0.1%, and pulmonary embolism 0.9 versus 0.1. So definitely it's slightly higher in the abemaciclib group, but none of them had serious health concerns. Now, if you look at the timing and risk factors, the risk factors were well balanced between the two arms. Baseline Khorana score was well balanced across the arms. And approximately half of the thromboembolic events occurred early on treatment in both the arms. The median time to onset was around 6 months. And for abemaciclib treated patients, 47%, almost 50% experience VT within the first 180 days. And if you look at the risk factors for PE and VT, it was mostly increasing BMI. So here you can see right lower part of the slide that patients who have BMI ranging from 18 to 25, it was around 1.5 VT any grade, but it rises sharply to 3.5% in patients who had a BMI of 30 or more. Now coming to liver dysfunction, liver dysfunction was definitely higher in patients who received abemaciclib plus endocrine therapy. It was so patients with more than one adverse event percentage points grade 3 or more was 3.1% in the abemaciclib arm versus 0.9% in the endocrine treatment arm. And here you can see on this plot that most of the grade 3 important adverse events, the elevated liver enzymes, have happened in the initial part of the treatment within the first 4 to 6 months, and then they sort of plateaued off. So it occurred at a median time to onset of 3 to 4 months of abemaciclib. And after 6 months, the grade 3 or more event per month were rare. Now coming to interstitial lung disease, we are always scared of this particular adverse event. So there was one fatal case of interstitial lung disease, Most of the ILDs in both arms were single recurrences. And if you look at the serious ILD events, it was 0.5% in ABEMA versus no, I mean, just one patient in the endocrine arm. So slightly higher in the abemaciclib group. And quite unfortunately, if you look at the ILD in Asians, it was in the safety population overall, it was 1.4%. But if you look at the Asian population, grade 1 rose up to almost 5%. So that is something that we need to keep in mind, because we do have a lot of patients with lung metastasis. And although this is in the adjuvant setting, but still we have a lot of patients with baseline lung disease. So we need to keep a close watch on those cases. So the conclusions from this study was majority of the thromboembolic events, liver enzyme elevation, and ILD occur within the first 6 months. And most of the patients experiencing these adverse events could continue abemaciclib without any further recurrences. And most of these adverse events were not of the life-threatening category. So my interpretation is these three adverse events should be closely observed, and the fear of AVAP should not deter one from using abemaciclib purely based on the adverse events, because they are non-fatal, mostly non-fatal events. Although the risk-benefit of these adverse events in the curative setting needs to be assessed on a case-to-case basis. Moving on to the next presentation, it is about the PALAS trial, the adjuvant palbociclib in hormone receptor positive EBC, the final protocol planned analysis results after 5761 patients. So we all know that just like abemaciclib, palbociclib has also been used in the adjuvant setting, and this is the famous PALAS trial. So this was the trial design. So patients who were stage 2, stage 3, HER2, a hormone receptor positive early breast cancer, they were randomized into palbociclib for 2 years plus endocrine therapy versus endocrine therapy alone. And it was a 1:1 randomization with the primary endpoint being invasive disease-free survival. These are the baseline characteristics. So you can see that 80% of the patients in both the arms were advanced stage 2B and 3. And also, if you look at the grade, well, around 70% of the patients were actually grade 1, grade 2. And there was an even distribution of premenopausal and postmenopausal between the arms. And the median age was 52 years. And clinical high-risk group was around 60% of the patients. Now, if you look at the safety and side effects, well, the most common safety and side effects were neutropenia, leukopenia, and fatigue, which happened significantly more in the palbo plus endocrine versus endocrine alone arm. And the severe adverse events was around 13% in palbo versus 8% in endocrine treatment arm. And none of the 176 deaths in the trial were related to the study treatment. All of them were due to disease process. Now, if you look at the primary endpoint, just see there is actually no difference between palbo plus endocrine versus endocrine alone. And also, if you look at the secondary endpoints of invasive breast cancer-free survival and disease recurrence-free survival, again, there was no difference in the long-term outcomes. And also, the loco-regional disease-free recurrence-free survival and overall survival did not show any benefit of adding palbociclib to endocrine treatment. So the PALAS trial clearly tells us that adding palbociclib to endocrine treatment did not achieve either improvement in the DFS or in the improvement in the overall survival. And there is an ongoing analysis of the trans-PALAS trial looking at the translational aspects, which might clear the cloud a bit and might tell us what subset actually benefits. So my analysis would be that we have the MONARCH trial, MONARCH E trial, and the PALAS trial, one showing benefit, although marginal 3-4% benefit, one showing no benefit. So maybe probably because there was a difference in the baseline characteristics. Now, coming to the next presentation, the adjuvant abemaciclib combined with endocrine therapy in high-risk early breast cancer. So this is the updated efficacy and the Ki-67 analysis from the MONARCH E trial. So we all know that adjuvant abemaciclib has clinically has improved the invasive disease-free survival and the distance relapse-free survival in hormone receptor positive HER2 negative breast cancer in the adjuvant setting who are high risk. And here I'll be presenting the pre-specified primary outcome analysis and an additional follow-up analysis. So this was the trial design. Just for a revision: women with high risk early breast cancer after their initial adjuvant, after the initial localized treatment, they were divided into two cohorts. One was the high risk cohort, the cohort 1, which is more than 4 axillary lymph node positive, or patients who were 1 to 3 nodes positive plus a higher grade of a tumor or larger size tumor, and a cohort 2, which included patients with up to 3 nodes and a Ki-67 of more than 20%, and not a grade 3 or tumor size less than 5 centimeters. So this comprised of the whole intention to treat population. It was randomized into abemaciclib plus endocrine therapy versus endocrine therapy alone, and the primary endpoint was invasive disease-free survival. Now, if you look at the IDFS in the intention to treat population, it was 83% versus 88.8%, which was statistically significant. And also, if you look at the IDFS in the high Ki-67 group, that is the cohort 2, in that situation also, there was almost a 7% jump in the invasive disease-free survival. And if you look at the IDFS in the cohort 1, where Ki-67 was not taken into account, but patients with a higher nodal burden or with a higher tumor size, there was again almost a 7% improvement in the invasive disease-free survival. And interestingly, the patients who had a high Ki-67, who received abemaciclib, they had the best response, the best invasive disease-free survival compared to those who had a lower Ki-67. So to conclude, abemaciclib with endocrine therapy significantly improved the invasive disease-free survival in patients with hormone receptor positive early breast cancer. Ki-67 index was a good prognostic marker, but abemaciclib benefit was observed regardless of the Ki-67 index. Even the high-risk population actually benefited. So overall, the robust treatment benefit of abemaciclib extended beyond the 2-year treatment period. So with that, I would like to conclude. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity.